Hello, my name is John Rees. I'm a chiropractor based in Ilkley in West Yorkshire. I've been a chiropractor for 25 years, and in that time I've seen in excess of 6,500 new patients. And I've noticed that only about 3 of those 6,500 patients that I've seen as new patients have come to me without any symptoms. So it's quite natural to conclude that nobody believes that there's a need to maintain their body biomechanically or musculoskeletally, only to come and see us as a result of a crisis. Now, clearly some people do exercise, but most people, particularly of a certain age, if they're not exercising for sport or what have you, but later on in life, exercise predominantly to look after the health of their heart, which is obviously very important, but don't exercise particularly in regard to their musculoskeletal system. Clearly, if you're exercising and the health of your heart, you're also indirectly using your musculoskeletal system. But I hope you understand what I mean. It's not something that is prioritized by people. And everyone who presents to us, particularly as a first visit, only ever does so as a result of persistent discomfort or pain. Very, very rarely is that a traumatic situation. It's something that they're not sure how it's come about because it seems to have come on insidiously. They'll tell you that they don't know that they did anything differently. They've always done what they've done, so they can't understand why the symptoms have arisen. They will often, when questioned, inform you that in actual fact this isn't the first time they've had these symptoms, but in the past they've gone away. And therefore this time they're a bit frustrated because they haven't gone away, and therefore they want some assistance. Conversely, the vast majority of people who present to us, whether they be 20 years old, 30 years old, or someone in their 40s, 50s or 60s, has happily reported to their dentist for regular checkups, usually on a 6-monthly or annual basis, even though they themselves maintain their teeth twice a day. Now, when one considers the status of our teeth in comparison with the status of our musculoskeletal system, one could question the logic of why we care so much for our teeth, but conversely, so poorly for our musculoskeletal system. Let's look at the facts. Our teeth, or at least as adults, our teeth are between 9 and 12 years younger than the rest of us. Of course, we had milk teeth to begin with. The enamel that covers our teeth is the hardest thing that the body produces. Stronger than bone, most definitely. Now, we use our teeth no more than 90 minutes a day, and they are the most easy thing of anything that we possess in the body to repair and even to replace. We can extract them and function without some of them if you think about it. We can replace them with dentures or crowns or apply veneers to them and similar things. Now, in comparison, our musculoskeletal system of 610 muscles, 205 bones and 360 joints is as old as the rest of us. It functions 24 hours a day, whether at rest, working or at play or asleep. We just expect it to function without any particular reference to specialist musculoskeletal professional for maintenance care. When we compare the attributes and uses of the dental and musculoskeletal system, it is not unreasonable to argue that the disparity with which we respect our dental system over our musculoskeletal system is bizarre, and some could say somewhat callous. When you realise also that our teeth don't move, it's the jaw that moves to enable the teeth function, and hence the teeth don't have any real mechanical function, whereas our joints, ligaments and the muscles that work the joints are always moving. It only adds the irrational disregard which we have towards our the maintenance care and attention towards our musculoskeletal system. If we didn't go to a dentist until our 20s, 30s, 40s or 50s in the same way that we don't go to our chiropractor until we are of that age, might we wonder as to the state of our teeth and our gums and what state they might be in? One benefit the dentist has for people turning up on a regular basis is that we can see our teeth easily in the mirror. However, our joints, ligaments, muscles, we can't see at all, and therefore we don't have the daily reminder of their appearance. Now, one might say to me, so what are we losing out? What's the detriment of not receiving maintenance treatment of our musculoskeletal system? Well, it's on a number of different levels. First, the lack of optimization of the movement of the joints is an issue. The less a joint moves to its optimum, the more the associated muscles that move the joint lose their optimal function, and the less they communicate with the brain neurologically. In other words, every time you move a muscle, it sends an electrical signal to a particular part of the brain, and that reinforces the communication between the muscle and the brain. And you can imagine in any system of communication, the more regularly you communicate with something or someone, the more that reinforces the relationship between the two. And that is the same with the brain and muscles. And therefore, if a muscle doesn't function, if it doesn't move because the joint's not moving properly, the brain over time, strange enough, sort of loses the communication skill with that muscle, and that causes certain problems. Now, the less the joint moves, the less the muscles are utilized, and the quicker they will atrophy. Atrophy means sort of waste and lose their strength, which of course results in a reduction of the ability for the joint to move effectively, efficiently, or adequately to its full range of motion. The result being, the more we age, immaterial of our chronological age. The main difference really between adults and children is that children move a lot more. So again, the less we move, and thus the more the muscles atrophy, the weaker the muscles become, and their ability to protect the joint from the forces going through that joint increases. Because of course, if you've got strong muscles around a joint, then particularly when you're talking about joints working under gravity, which is all your spine, your foot muscles, your joints in your foot, your ankle, your knee and your hip, all, as I say, relating to gravity. If you've got strong muscles around those joints, then some of the load of the movement and the gravity and your weight will be taken up by those muscles. However, if those muscles are weak, then a greater proportion of that load goes through the joint. And then the more that you load the joint, the more you cause potential issues with the joint. Because the joint, part of the setup of the joint is a gap between the two ends of the bone that formulate the joint. And as you probably know, at the end of the bone, which becomes the joint, is cartilage, which is a slightly softer tissue to the bone itself. Now, between the two bits of cartilage within a joint, there is what we call a joint space, a gap. And the more that load is put directly through the joint, the more that affects the gap, and over time that gap, that joint space gets less. If it gets less on a more regular basis, then the load you put through it can cause compaction of the cartilage. If the cartilage is compacted and sort of basically banged together, it weakens it. If it weakens it, then the body says, well, we have to strengthen it. It changes the cartilage from the sort of the softer tissue than it is to bone. It makes it bonier. It strengthens it. It makes it slightly bigger, generally speaking, and that additionally reduces the joint space. So all, well, not all, but in part, based on the atrophy or lack of strength of the muscles. If the muscles take more load around the joint, then the repetitious nature of this sort of the compaction of the joint is less. So that all being said, you might say, well, how does chiropractic care mitigate, or chiropractic maintenance, how does it mitigate the loss of range of motion within your joints and optimize the function of your muscle? Because, as we've said, the more we can move the joint, the more the muscle relaxes, the more the muscle can be strengthened, and that reinforces the neurological connection between the muscles and the ligaments and the brain, and it keeps everything as optimal as possible. Now, people will all say, okay, well, I understand your concept, so how regularly should I come to see you? And although certain chiropractors will say more, from my experience, I would say monthly works about right. And some people might say, well, hold on a minute, I only go to see my dentist every 6 months, so coming to see a chiropractor once a month seems excessive. Well, yes, that's true, but then let's do the maths. As we say, you use your teeth for about an hour and a half a day. And in a 6-month period, that turns out to be 183 days. So going to see your dentist every 183 days. If you use your teeth for an hour and a half a day, that means that over that 6-month period, you've used them for 275 hours. Okay? And you deem that acceptable use, hourly usage, if that's the right term. Conversely, in a month, and let's say a month for ease is just 28 days, as the 4 weeks rather than the calendar month, we use our musculoskeletal system, whether we're active at work, whether we're resting, whether we're sleeping, or what have you. We use our musculoskeletal system 24 hours a day. Therefore, over those 28 days, 24 by 28 turns out to be 672 hours usage. So comparing this to the 275 hours usage between our dental appointments, 672 hours, which I think is almost about 2.5 times a lot more, one could understand, you could argue that a monthly maintenance wasn't at all excessive. Anyway, that's just a quick introduction to the importance of maintenance care, because it will benefit us longer term. And a number of our patients who have seen us, like nearly everyone, first and foremost because they've had a crisis, do see us for maintenance care. They don't present with any symptoms at the time for maintenance care. They definitely feel a difference after we've treated them, because they realise that over a month or so, or 6 weeks, or whatever it is, the increment of change and detriment to the musculoskeletal system day on day is really quite small. So they don't really see a difference. However, when you aggregate the alterations over a month and then you treat them and sort of put them back to where they were the last time they saw you, they can see the difference between the functionability of the joints and the musculoskeletal system to where they were when they came in. I hope that's understood and I've explained it satisfactorily. If you have any issues, or if you would like to take us up on the maintenance scenario rather than waiting until you get a crisis, then feel free to contact us on these numbers. And as I say, thank you so much for taking the time to listen. Okay, bye-bye.